We're going to continue from chapter 4 of Numbers, where we left off yesterday. Now, we were talking about the three tribes, that's three clans, if you will, from the tribe of Levi. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, Levi, the person Levi, was one of the 12 original tribes of Israel, right? Sons of Jacob. Now, the tribe of Levi consists of many, many people who are basically in charge of taking care of the tabernacle. They're basically in charge of the religious activities of the people of Israel, the tabernacle, taking care of it, etc. So we're going to go over the different duties of the three clans. They're called the Kohathites, the Gershonites, and the Merarites. There were families of Levites who were assigned special tasks in Israel's worship. For the jobs described in this chapter, a Levite had to be between 30 and 50 years old. The Levites were expected to carry out their duties as described here in every detail. We're going to read that right now in this chapter. In fact, failure to do so could mean death. For example, look at chapter 4, verse 20. We're going to look at that in a second. Let me put on my glasses. Hold on. Okay. Now, the instructions God gave the Levites contrasted greatly with the religious practices of the Egyptians, who could purchase amulets and potions and handle their idols. The God of the Hebrews could not be handled or reduced to common elements. He is greater than anything in his creation. Worshipping our holy God must not be taken lightly. So let's read this a little bit here. The Lord told Moses to take a census of the Levite clans of Kohath by subclans and families, and to register all the men between the ages of 30 and 50 who were qualified to work in the tent of the Lord's presence. Their service involves the most holy things. The Lord gave Moses the following instructions. When it is time to break camp, Aaron and his sons shall enter the tent and take down the curtain in front of the covenant box and cover the box with it. They shall put a fine leather cover over it, spread a cloth of solid blue on top, and then insert the carrying poles. They shall spread a blue cloth over the table for the bread offered to the Lord, and put on it the dishes, the incense bowls, the offering bowls, and the jars for the wine offering. There shall always be bread on the table. They shall spread a red cloth over all of this, put a fine leather cover over it, and then insert the carrying poles. They shall take a blue cloth and cover the lampstand with its lamps, tongs, trays, and all the olive oil containers. They shall wrap it and all its equipment in a fine leather cover, and place it on the carrying frame. Next, they shall spread a blue cloth over the gold altar, put a fine leather cover over it, and then insert the carrying poles. They shall take all the utensils used in the holy place, wrap them in a blue cloth, put a fine leather cover over them, and place them on a carrying frame. They shall remove the greasy ashes from the altar and spread a purple cloth over it. They shall put on it the equipment used in the service of the altar, fire pans, hooks, shovels, and basins. Then they shall put a fine leather cover over it and insert the carrying poles. When it is time to break camp, the clan of Kohath shall come to carry the sacred objects only after Aaron and his sons have finished covering them and all their equipment. The Kohath clan must not touch the sacred objects, or they will die. These are the responsibilities of the Kohath clan whenever the tent is moved. Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, shall be responsible for the whole tent, and for the oil for the lamps, the incense, the grain offerings, and anointing oil, and everything else in the tent that has been consecrated to the Lord. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Do not let the clan of Kohath be killed by coming near these most sacred objects. To prevent this from happening, Aaron and his sons shall go in and assign each man his task and tell him what to carry. But if the Kohathites enter the tent and see the priest preparing the sacred objects for moving, they will die. Now we go on to the Gershonites. The duties of the Levi clan of Gershon. The Lord told Moses to take a census of the Levi clan of Gershon by subclans and families, and to register all the men between the ages of 30 and 50 who were qualified to work in the tent of the Lord's presence. They shall be responsible for carrying the following objects: the tent, its inner cover, its outer cover, the fine leather cover on top of it, the curtain for the entrance, the curtains and ropes for the court that is around the tent, and the altar, the curtains for the entrance of the court, and all the fittings used in setting up these objects. They shall perform all the tasks required for these things. Moses and Aaron shall see to it that the Gershonites perform all the duties and carry everything that Aaron and his sons assigned to them. These are the responsibilities of the Gershon clan in the tent. They shall carry them under the direction of Ithamar, son of Aaron the priest. All right. The duties of the Levite clan of Merari. The Lord told Moses to take a census of the Levi clan of Merari by subclans and families, and to register all the men between the ages of 30 and 50 who were qualified to work in the tent of the Lord's presence. They shall be responsible for carrying the frames, bars, posts, and bases of the tent, and the posts, bases, pegs, and ropes of the court around the tent, with all the fittings used in setting them up. Each man will be responsible for carrying specific items. These are the responsibilities of the Merari clan in their service in the tent. They shall carry them out under the direction of Ithamar, the son of Aaron the priest. All right. The census of the Levites. Following the Lord's command, Moses, Aaron, and the leaders of the community took a census of the three Levi clans, Kohath, Gershon, and Merari. They did this by subclans and families and registered all the men between the ages of 30 and 50 who were qualified to work in the tent of the Lord's presence as follows: Kohath clan, 2,750. The Gershon clan, 2,630. The Merari clan, 3,200. Total of 8,580. Each man was registered as the Lord had commanded Moses, and at the command of the Lord given through Moses, each man was assigned responsibility for his task of serving or carrying. Chapter 5. Now, before any further, let's recap what we read here. The Kohathites, this is from verse 20. The Kohathites had a very dangerous job. They were responsible for moving the most sacred objects. Only the priests could enter the tabernacle and cover these items. The Kohathites could not go into the inner area or even look at the sacred objects, or they would die. They had to wait until the priests finished their work in covering each item with a special cloth. Many years after these instructions were given, Uzzah, this is in 2 Samuel chapter 6, by the way, Uzzah died after touching the ark when David brought it to Jerusalem. Now, today we do not have to fear because we enjoy free access to the presence of God through Jesus. That's from Hebrews chapter 4, verse 16. Now, the Gershonites, the Gershonites, they could receive directions from any of Aaron's sons, but they were directly responsible for Ithamar, to Ithamar only. The lines of authority and accountability were clearly communicated to all. As you function with others in service to God, make sure the lines of authority between you and those you work with are clearly understood. Good communications build good relationships. And then finally, we have the men of the Merarite division who are responsible for the heavy lifting. One might think this was the least important of all the duties, but the Lord assigned it with care. wanting the loads assigned to everyone by name. This would ensure that no supporting piece would get lost or be forgotten at the previous camp. The Lord took a mundane task and actually personalized it by specifying what each person was to carry. Similarly, the Lord gives us work to do that might not feel especially exciting, but we can trust that He has good reasons for assigning it to us and that it is significant within His plan. Now, let's talk about unclean people, repayment for wrong done, in cases of wives with suspicious husbands. The Lord said to Moses, "Command the people of Israel to expel from the camp everyone with a dreaded skin disease or a bodily discharge, and everyone who is unclean by contact with a corpse. Send all these ritually unclean people out so that they will not defile the camp where I live among my people." The Israelites obeyed and expelled them all from the camp. All right. Now, repayment for wrongs done. The Lord gave Moses the following instructions for the people of Israel. When any of you are unfaithful to the Lord and commit a wrong against someone, you must confess your sin and make full repayment, plus an additional 20% to the person you have wronged. But if that person has died and has no near relatives to whom payment can be made, it shall be given to the Lord for the priest. This payment is in addition to the ram used to perform the ritual of purification for the guilty person. Also, every special contribution which the Israelites offer to the Lord belongs to the priest to whom they present it. Each priest shall keep the offering presented to him. So God included restitution, which was a unique concept for that day, as part of his law for Israel. I'll give an example. When someone was robbed, the guilty person was required to restore the loss to the victim and pay an additional interest penalty. Now, when we have wronged others, we ought to do more than apologize. We should look for ways to set matters right and, if possible, leave the victim even better off than before. When we have been wronged, we should seek restoration rather than striking out in revenge. Something to consider. Now, cases of wives with suspicious husbands. The Lord commanded Moses to give the Israelites the following instructions. It may happen that a man becomes suspicious that his wife is unfaithful to him and has defiled herself by having intercourse with another man. But the husband may not be certain, for his wife may have kept it a secret. There was no witness and she was not caught in the act. Or it may happen that a husband becomes suspicious of his wife, even though she has not been unfaithful. In either case, the man shall take his wife to the priest. He shall also take the required offering of 2 pounds of barley flour, but he shall not pour any olive oil on it, or put any incense on it, because it is an offering from the suspicious husband made to bring the truth to light. The priest shall bring the woman forward and have her stand in front of the altar. Hold on, please. You want to make sure you guys can see this. Okay. In front of the altar. He shall pour some holy water into a clay bowl and take some of the earth that is on the floor of the tent of the Lord's presence and put it in the water to make it bitter. Then he shall loosen the woman's hair and put the offering of flour in her hands. In his hands the priest shall hold a bowl containing the bitter water that brings a curse. Then the priest shall make the woman agree to this oath spoken by the priest. If you have not committed adultery, you will not be harmed by the curse that this water brings. But if you have committed adultery, may the Lord make your name a curse among your people. May he cause your genital organs to shrink and your stomach to swell up. May this water enter your stomach and cause it to swell up and your genital organs to shrink. The woman shall respond, I agree. May the Lord do so. Now, let's continue. Then the priest shall write this curse down and wash the writing off into the bowl of bitter water. Before he makes the woman drink the water, which may then cause her bitter pain, the priest shall take the offering of flour out of the woman's hands, hold it out in dedication to the Lord, and present it on the altar. Then he shall take a handful of it as a token offering and burn it on the altar. Finally, he shall make the woman drink the water. If she has committed adultery, the water will cause bitter pain. Her stomach will swell up, and her genital organs will shrink. Her name will become a curse among her people. But if she is innocent, she will not be harmed and will be able to bear children. This is the law in cases where a man is jealous and becomes suspicious that his wife has committed adultery. The woman shall be made to stand in front of the altar, and the priest shall perform this ritual. The husband shall be free of guilt, but the woman, if guilty, must suffer the consequences. Now, this test for adultery served to remove a jealous husband's suspicion. Trust between husband and wife had to be completely eroded for a man to bring his wife to the priest for this type of test. Today, priests and pastors help restore marriages by counseling couples who have lost faith in each other. It is important for men and women to strengthen the bonds of trust in marriage. Flirtations and intimate communications with someone you're not married to can bring suspicion and weaken trust. Guard your heart and guard your marriage in order to maintain trust and strengthen your bond with your spouse. Okay, now we're going to go to chapter 6. Let me get a drink. Hold on, please. Let me fix this. Hold on, please. The bottom is not too straight. There we go. Okay. Rules for Nazarites. Um, some of you may wonder, we covered this before in other books, but Nazarites, they're not people from Nazareth. Some people think that's a Nazarene, but Nazarites are people that basically given to God for whatever reason. I'll give you some quick examples. Just a quick examples. Remember Samson? We just read about him in the book of Judges. Samson is one person, right? Samuel was another person. We're going to read about him in First Samuel. And then, of course, John the Baptist. We read about him when we read the Gospels. These are people that are dedicated to God sometimes before they're even born. In most cases, actually, before they're even born. We're going to go over some of the details here. If might refresh your memory. Let me see here. Okay. Just want to make sure I'm not missing anything here. Some of the things, and you guys can see in my notes here, some of the things that Nazarites are supposed to obey is no alcoholic beverages, no vinegar, no grape products, raisins, grapes, grape juice, nothing like that at all. No wine, of course. And must not have his or her hair cut. Yes, women can be Nazarites as well. They must never go near a dead body of a person or an animal, right? The length of vow is actually open. It's never really quite specified. And it could be a year, could be for the rest of their lives. In some cases, it was permanent, like we covered Samson, Samuel, and John the Baptist. It was a permanent vow of being a Nazarite. So again, a Nazarite is somebody that is set apart for God. Basically, if you were to consider what is nowadays something considered to a Nazarite, uh, a monk or a nun, for example. For example, even though not all the rules may apply, but that's the closest thing we have to a Nazarite right now, a monk or a nun. Okay, here we go, chapter 6. The Lord commanded Moses to give the following instructions to the people of Israel. Any of you, male or female, who make a special vow to become a Nazarite and dedicate yourself to the Lord shall abstain from wine and beer. You shall not drink any kind of drink made from grapes, or eat any grapes or raisins. As long as you are a Nazarite, you shall not eat anything that comes from a grapevine, not even the seeds or skins of grapes. In Moses' day, a personal vow was as binding as a written contract. It was one thing to say you would do something, but it was considered much more serious when you made a solemn vow to do it. God instituted the Nazarite vow for people who wanted to devote some time exclusively to serving Him. This vow could be taken for as little as 30 days or as long as a lifetime. It was voluntary, with one exception. Parents could take the vow for the young children, making them Nazarites for life. The vow includes three distinct restrictions, at least. Nazarites were to abstain from wine and other fermented drinks. Two, their hair could not be cut, and the men's beards could not be shaved. And three, they were prohibited from touching a dead body. The purpose of the Nazarite vow was to raise up a group of leaders devoted completely to God. Samson, Samuel, and John the Baptist were Nazarites for life. Verse 5. As long as you are under the Nazarite vow, you must not cut your hair or shave. You are bound by the vow to the full time that you are dedicated to the Lord. And you shall let your hair grow. Your hair is the sign of your dedication to God. And so you must not defile yourself by going near a corpse, not even that of your father, mother, brother, or sister. As long as you are a Nazarite, you are consecrated to the Lord. If your consecrated hair is defiled because you are right beside someone who suddenly dies, you must wait 7 days and then shave your head. And so you become ritually clean. On the eighth day you shall bring 2 doves or 2 pigeons to the priest at the entrance of the tent of the Lord's presence. The priest shall offer one as a sin offering and the other as a burnt offering to perform the ritual of purification for you because of your contact with a corpse. On the same day you shall consecrate your hair and rededicate to the Lord your time as a Nazarite. The previous period of time does not count, because your consecrated hair was defiled. As a repayment offering, you shall bring a 1-year-old lamb. When you complete your Nazarite vow, you shall perform this ritual. You shall go to the entrance of the tent and present to the Lord 3 animals without any defects: a 1-year-old male lamb for a burnt offering, a 1-year-old ewe lamb for a sin offering, and a ram for a fellowship offering. You shall also offer a basket of bread made without yeast, thick loaves made of flour mixed with olive oil, and thin cakes brushed with olive oil, and in addition the required offerings of grain and wine. The priest shall present all these to the Lord and offer the sin offerings and the burnt offering. He shall sacrifice the ram to the Lord as a fellowship offering and offer it with a basket of bread. He shall also present the offerings of grain and wine. At the entrance of the tent, you, Nazarites, shall shave off your hair and put it on the fire on which the fellowship offering is being burned. Then, when the shoulder of the ram is boiled, the priest shall take it and put it on together with one thick loaf of bread and one thin cake from the basket into the hands of the Nazarite. Next, the priest shall present them as a special gift to the Lord. They are a sacred offering for the priest, in addition to the breast and the leg of the ram, which by law belongs to the priest. After that, The Nazarite may drink wine. These are the regulations for you Nazarites. But if you promise an offering beyond what your vow requires you to give, you must fulfill exactly the promise you made. The priestly blessing. The Lord commanded Moses to tell Aaron and his sons to use the following words in blessing the people of Israel. May the Lord bless you and care of you. May the Lord be kind and be gracious to you. May the Lord look on you with favor and give you peace. And the Lord said, if they pronounce my name as a blessing upon the people of Israel, I will bless them. Now, right here, a blessing was one way of asking for God's divine favor to rest upon others. That is what a blessing is. The ancient blessing in these verses help us understand what a blessing was supposed to do. It's it's five parts conveyed hope that God would bless and protect his people, two, smile on them, be pleased with them, in other words. Three, be gracious, in other words, merciful and compassionate to them. Four, show them his favor, in other words, give them his approval. And five, give them peace. When you ask God to bless others or yourself, in a sense, you're asking him to do these five things. The blessing you offer will not only help the person who receives it, it will also encourage others and provide a model of caring to those who are watching. Now, so let me repeat that because some people may need to hear this, again, and I'm going to totally paraphrase it, rephrase it, say it in different words, however you want to call it, okay? So it's easier understood for everybody. When you bless somebody, it constitutes five different things. It's five things that you're doing, in other words. You're asking God to bless and protect his people, right? That's number one. You're asking God to smile upon them. In other words, to be pleased with them. Three, you're asking God to be gracious to them. In other words, be merciful and compassionate to them. Four, you're asking God to show them his favor, giving them his approval. And five, you're asking God to give them peace. Those are the five things when you bless somebody. That should be conveyed in no uncertain terms. All right, chapter 7. Now, this is going to be a super long chapter. It's 89 verses, but we can go through it real quick. Now, so what is going on here? Before we go any further, I think a little previous and is called upon. Chapter 7. After the tabernacle was set up, anointed and set apart as holy, the leaders of the 12 tribes brought gifts and offerings to its use and maintenance. All the people were represented. It was everyone's tabernacle. Okay? So here we go. On the day Moses finished setting up the tent of the Lord's presence, he anointed and dedicated the tent and all its equipment, and the altar and all its equipment. Then the clan chiefs who were leaders in the tribes of Israel, the same men who were in charge of the census, brought their offerings to the Lord. 6 wagons and 12 oxen, a wagon for every 2 leaders, and an ox for each leader. After they had presented them, the Lord said to Moses, accept these gifts for use in the work to be done for the tent. Give them to the Levites according to the work they have to do. So Moses gave the wagons and the oxen to the Levites. He gave 2 wagons and 4 oxen to the Gershonites, and 4 wagons and 8 oxen to the Merarites. All their work was to be done under the direction of Ithamar, the son of Aaron. But Moses gave no wagons or oxen to the Kohathites because sacred objects they took care had to be carried on their shoulders. With the carrying poles? The leaders also brought offerings to celebrate the dedication of the altar. When they were ready to present their gifts at the altar, the Lord said to Moses, tell them that each day, for a period of 12 days, one of the leaders is to present his gifts for the dedication of the altar. They presented their offerings in the following order. The first day, Judah, the leader was Nashon. Second, Issachar, with Nathanael as the leader. Third, Zebulun, with Eliab, son of Helon. Fourth was Reuben, with Elizur, son of Shedeur. Fifth was the tribe of Simeon, with Shelumiel, son of Zeruiashadai. The sixth was the tribe of Gad, with Eliasaph, son of Deuel. Seventh was Ephraim, with Elishama, son of Amihud. Eighth was Manasseh, with Gamaliel, son of Pedazur. Ninth was Benjamin, with Abidan, son of Gideoni. 10th was the tribe of Dan, with Ahiezer, son of Amni Shaddai. 11th was Asher, with Pagiel, son of Okran. And the 12th was Naphtali, with Ahira, son of Enan. Now let's see here. The offerings each one brought were identical. Let me move this over here so you guys can see the bottom. Seems to be not centered. I don't know who's asking to come up, but I'm not bringing anybody up. The offerings each one brought were identical. One silver bowl weighing 50 ounces and one silver basin weighing 30 ounces by the official standard, both of them full of flour mixed with oil for the grain offering. One gold dish weighing 4 ounces, full of incense, one young bull, one ram, and a 1-year-old lamb for the burnt offering, one goat for the sin offering, and 2 bulls, 5 rams, 5 goats, and 5 1-year-old lambs for the fellowship offering. The totals of the offerings brought by the 12 leaders for the dedication of the altar were as follows: 12 silver bowls and 12 silver basins weighing 60 pounds, 12 gold dishes weighing a total of 48 ounces, filled with incense, 12 bulls, 12 rams, and 12 1-year-old lambs, plus the grain offering that go with them for the burnt offerings, 12 goats for the sin offerings, 24 bulls, 60 rams, 60 goats, 60 1-year-old lambs for the fellowship offerings. When Moses went into the tent to talk with the Lord, he heard the Lord speaking to him from above the lid of the covenant box between the 2 winged creatures. Let me see something. Yeah, we can do one more chapter. It should be okay. Okay. The Lord said to Moses, "Tell Aaron that when he puts the 7 lamps on the lampstand, he should place them so that the light shines towards the front." Aaron obeyed and placed the lamps facing the front of the lampstand. From top to bottom, the lampstand was made of hammered gold, according to the pattern that the Lord had shown Moses. The lamps provided light for the priests as they carried out their duties. The light was also an expression of God's presence. Jesus had said, "I am the light of the world." That's from John chapter 8, verse 12. Today, golden lampstands are still one of the important symbols of the Jewish faith. Verse 5. The Lord said to Moses, "Separate the Levites from the rest of the people of Israel and purify them in the following way. Sprinkle them with the water of purification and have them shave their whole bodies and have them wash their clothes. Then they will be ritually clean. Then they are to take a young bull and the required grain offering of flour mixed with olive oil, and you are to take another bull for the sin offering. Then assemble the whole community of Israel and have the Levites stand in front of the tent of my presence." Hold on, please. The people of Israel are to place their hands on the heads of the Levites, and then Aaron shall dedicate the Levites to me as a special gift from the Israelites, so that they may do my work. The Levites shall then put their hands on the heads of the 2 bulls. One is to be offered as a sin offering, and the other as a burnt offering, in order to perform the ritual of purification for the Levites. Dedicate the Levites as a special gift to me, and put Aaron and his sons in charge of them. Separate the Levites in this way from the rest of the Israelites, so that they will belong to me. After you have purified and dedicated the Levites, they will be qualified to work in the tent. I have claimed them in the place of all the firstborn sons of the Israelites, and they belong to me alone. When I killed all the firstborn in Egypt, I consecrated as my own the oldest son of each Israelite family, and the firstborn of every animal. I am now taking the Levites instead of all the firstborn of the Israelites, and I assign the Levites to Aaron and his sons as a gift from the Israelites to work in the tent for the people of Israel and to protect the Israelites from the disaster that will strike them if they came too near the holy place. So Moses, Aaron, and all the people of Israel dedicated the Levites as the Lord commanded Moses. The Levites purified themselves and washed their clothes, and Aaron dedicated them as a special gift to the Lord. He also performed the ritual of purification for them. The people did everything the Lord had commanded Moses concerning the Levites, and so the Levites were qualified to work in the tent under Aaron and his sons. The Lord said to Moses, "From the age of 25, each Levite shall perform his duties in the tent of my presence, and at the age of 50, he shall retire. After that, he may help his fellow Levites in performing their duties in the tent, but he must not perform any services by himself. This is how you are to regulate the duties of the Levites." Amen. Amen.